Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Happiness Chat. Sometimes you read a quote and a person comes to your mind. Today I have the quote and the person with me. Here goes. Teach your daughter to worry less about fitting into glass slippers and more about shattering the glass ceiling. It takes a diamond to cut glass. The diamond I am referring to today is the dynamic Priti Suri, a brilliant lawyer who has broken many glass ceilings. It is such a pleasure to have you here today, Preeti. Thank you so much for joining me on the Happiness Chat.
Thank you very much, Shilpa, for having me. I'm generally never at a loss for words, but I think that introduction has left me a little bit awed and speechless. But thank you very much for saying all that you did.
I truly meant every word of it, and you have broken so many glass ceilings that we shall discover during our conversation. So, Preeti, take us through your journey from your childhood to the top bracket in the legal world.
Uh, the journey is a very interesting journey because I was about 10 years old when I decided that I wanted to join the Foreign Service. I did not want to be a lawyer. That was never on my agenda, but it is something that happened to happen along the way. So I call myself an accidental lawyer, okay? Um, but I think I'm stepping a little bit too ahead of myself over here. I had the most incredible childhood, a most incredible school life, lots of fun, lots of good friends. And I think growing up, the focus of my family was always on education. And a huge focus was also on economic independence. So my life's trajectory is something that started because of those 2, 3 key features that were imbued in us while growing up. Um, School was a lot of fun. College was a lot of fun. Newfound freedom, the ability to watch every single movie at Archana. I went to college in LSR, and it was super fun. You know, just that newfound freedom. And of course, the first year results definitely showed that that freedom was more important, and the marks were all dipping down. Thereafter, onwards to law school, and law school was also a lot of fun, more fun than actual law studies. And then onwards to a career in the law. But very quickly, I decided that I wanted to go to the US for further studies. And that happened after 2 years of my having started work in the legal profession. And it was the start of something different completely, where I ended up spending a lot of time in the US and in Europe, working, studying, and just, living life, and which I really, really enjoyed.
Sounds like an awesome journey from there till now, and it's still beautiful. So I'm trying to understand, like, it was about 2 decades ago, more than 2 decades ago, when you founded your law firm. That was the era when mainly men were the heads of law firms. So, what challenges did you face establishing your own firm at that point of time?
Shilpa, I think I will backtrack a little bit because I had actually, when I came back to India to set up the firm, it was at the behest of a client. And my plan was that I would set something up over here and then go back to living my life in Paris. Find a clone, find somebody who would take over, and I would continue to be back in Europe. However, life never ever turns out the way you want it to turn out. So I ended up being here. Um, there were challenges in everything, not only being a woman, just to set a place up, to find the space, to actually put together the entire infrastructure, to put together everything that, to get the work, right? I mean, you can have an office, you can have the overheads, but what about the work? To go out, get the work, to start building the team, to try and, infrastructure. Those days, today we all have our cell phones so handy, right? Those days, even getting a cell phone, getting a phone was a very, very prohibitive process. So putting all of that together, then putting the entire team together, okay, finding the work, traveling for work, getting the work done, and at the same time being worried, there has to be enough money in the account to be able to pay off people at the end of the month. And um, I think just to keep morale of everybody high, including of myself. So it was a pretty fascinating journey at that stage, and I honestly think there were challenges in everything, and those would have been there. Something that I never ever anticipated, but I just took them head on, you know.
Brilliant. That is just so you. So tell me, what characteristics helped you in reaching where you are today?
Um, I think the ability to take on a challenge. Okay, I'm a first generational lawyer, and the journey by itself is not an easy journey because you really don't know. You really don't know the system. I had spent more than a decade away from India. I was coming back to an entirely different set of circumstances where literally everything you have to build from ground up. So I think I like challenges, so there was a challenge in setting something up and building something. I like that. uh, Positivism, I think I'm an eternally optimistic person. I like to look at the bright side of things. Sometimes a lot of people think that I'm too optimistic and not a realist, but that positivism and that optimism has actually helped me in good stead. um, I think the inherent unconditional support of my parents, I cannot even, and these are not necessarily in the order in which I'm saying this, because without that, I would not have been able to, get to the point where I was. And I think I just love my work, you know. The fact that I was building up relationships, I was building something up, and I was developing relationships with people all across the globe, in India. And I really enjoyed doing all of that. So I think becoming an entrepreneur at a point in time when very few people actually did that, I just had fun along the way. And so it's a combination of all of those factors that kicked in, and that made me really, as you say, go on, remain on the path.
I'm just hearing all these words, and these are all the words that we've been hearing in 2020. So you could be a brand ambassador for the year 2020 because you kind of personify overcoming challenges and keeping the optimism and facing everything head on. A perfect example. I'm so glad I have you on this chat. So tell me, having achieved so much success, what advice would you give to the COVID troubled world?
I think it may sound repetitive, but I think hope and optimism are very, very important aspects in today's environment. I think being understanding of others' situations is also a very, very important characteristic. at this point in time. My own, my own view all along has been, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. And that's only when you know where they pinch the most. And if I do that for others, I would also expect that they understand my position as well. So literally, um, we are living in extremely troubled times. There is the global economic situation is not good. India, it's not good. Um, Jobs are getting lost. There's sickness everywhere. The waves are second wave, third wave, whatever is going on. The escalating numbers is extremely troubling at this point in time. And the fact of the matter is that people are also losing out on their patience by just being indoors, not necessarily, you might be fortunate to go out and have a get together with some close friends. That's non-existent. I haven't been out for months altogether. So I think there is COVID fatigue. And I think it becomes all the more important at a time like this to actually draw on our inner resilience and to be compassionate, to understand what the other is going through. And also at the same time, be compassionate to ourselves as well. I think and just to remain positive. If we have hope, we'll be able to come out of this in the right way and with the right attitude.
Absolutely. Perfect advice. I couldn't agree more. So tell me about all the hidden talents that you have discovered during the COVID time. The reason why I'm asking is because I have seen pictures of it and it looked fabulous.
um, so as you know that I live with my mom who's 85 years old, who has a sweet tooth. Okay. I don't have a sweet tooth. Um, I actually discovered that I had to cook for her, and because we were really not ordering anything from outside until now, we are not. So I discovered that I could actually make desserts. Okay. And I enjoyed making those desserts for her. I've never made kheer in my life. I've never made moong dal halwa in my life. My God, these are just words for me. So I guess there was cooking. Cooking was something I have always enjoyed, and I have generally cooked, but not in terms of doing things, making rasmalai from scratch. My God, that's not me at all. But that was one. And the other piece was gardening. I really enjoyed, the time with my plants, the time with the flowers, or even just with the plants. I think green is very soothing to the eyes. And so I did spend a fair amount of time on that as well. Other than that, I think like everybody else, there's been a significant amount of focus on a lot of, on the house, on managing a practice at the same time. A lot of time is spent on Zoom calls, so there's no talents over there. But I think other than that, I don't think there's anything else.
No, I know one more thing.
What?
Pedas.
Oh, yes.
I
Yes,
remember
yes, yes.
seeing those pedas. They looked like they were coming from Vrindavan. They were perfect.
Oh God, really? Thank you. Thank
They
you.
look lovely. So you touched upon my next question already. I know you're a terrific daughter. How do you manage the home and the office front?
I guess inner resilience, you know. I also think it's very important to be conscious of time management. I'm very, very possessive about time that is my personal time. And unless there's an emergency, I will not let anybody intrude on that time. So I think time management is a very, very important component. I make sure that I get my work done within the time that I have allocated for it. As a lawyer, if I don't engage in time management, then I think I'm just wasting so much more time. So I do know that, when I'm doing home chores or I have to sit down with my mother, she likes to go to bed early. And I have told clients I will not do late night calls. There's a lot of stuff where I have, set out limits. I also understand when it's necessary. And of course, when it's necessary, then I will do a call at 2 in the morning also. If it is, particularly if I'm working with people around the globe, then my time becomes, I have to adapt to others' times as well. But I think really trying to draw a line somewhere or the other, that's very important for me. And that's something that I learned pretty early on, because I remember I was one day at about 6 o'clock in the cooking dinner, okay, and a client called from the UK and he said, I'm so sorry, I've called without any engagement. So I said, no, it's okay, we can continue to talk as long as you don't mind, I'm in the kitchen. And so I actually was not trying to camouflage. If there was noise in the background, that so be it. uh, I think it's important to be just yourself, and also to draw those lines, and also to, I want others to respect my time, and I do the same, you know. So I think that's very important, because otherwise I will never ever stop, and I don't want to be just sitting with my mom and looking at my phone or looking at my computer. There has to be quality time. And even for my own sanity, if I want to sit down and read a book after she's gone to bed, I don't want to be sitting and working at that point in time, because I do think that, when you're working, you should not be thinking about anything else. So you really have to plan your day and draw the lines and the limits wherever you need to.
Absolutely. Actually, I was just thinking, it was some months ago, I write articles, and one of my articles was also on drawing lines, because I think it is so important. I mean, time management, of course, but even otherwise in, relationships, you
Yes.
cannot trespass boundaries.
Yeah.
Once in a while it's okay, but sometimes people make a habit out of it, and in the they call it like out of love and concern, but you know they still have to be boundaries and they still have to be respected. And I love my freedom and I love other people to have their freedom of thought, of choice. So I think drawing lines is just uh, very important for our own sanity, which you just said.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I did not want to start getting into that area, but I think you hit the nail on the head, because it's like that Lakshman Rekha, right? You have to draw a line in every sphere of your life, okay? Because otherwise, I think, you know, the world will treat you the way you will allow yourself to be treated, right? So if someone knows, if my family knows, I mean, I can even turn around and tell you, like, um, when I go to bed at night, my phone is never with me, it's in the other room. Okay. I will not keep a device with me after a certain point. I will shut off my cell phone on the weekends many times. Okay. Because I think people who really need to get in touch with me, they will do that. They will figure out a way to do that. There are still fixed phones, there is still email, right? If the phone is off, then the phone is off. So it's also drawing, we have to know where we draw the lines, even for ourselves. For my own sanity, I just may want to lie in bed, have a cup of tea peacefully, just be thinking, reflecting about something. And I don't want, we're living in too much of a technology driven world. Okay. And therefore, it becomes very, very necessary to set up those boundaries, because we are losing something as people otherwise. And be it work, be it relationships, be it devices, I think, that Lakshman Rekha is extremely essential. And it's very necessary, and it's healthy, particularly in relationships. You will respect each other more. The relationships, I think, will prosper and thrive if those boundaries are respected.
Absolutely. So far, we always heard of a detox, and which we always thought is going to do with eating and drinking. But now it's become this digital detox has become such a big thing,
Yeah,
that you have to switch off your devices. You just need to have some peace. So, I mean, it's a great thing that you do, just switching off your phone over the weekend. It's a great time to just kind of revive yourself, I feel, because
yeah,
there's such a constant, we're on a information highway all the time
yeah,
with
yeah,
vehicles rushing. It's
yeah,
like zoom, zoom all the time. And I'm saying zoom and zoom, but actually we are also suffering from what we call the Zoom fatigue now, besides the
yeah,
COVID
yeah.
fatigue. So there are all these things. So sometimes to just switch off is just fantastic. And so tell me, what motivates you to keep going?
I love what I do.
Hmm.
I really enjoy that. And I think it's very important for me to be friends with my clients. Um, the people that I work with, it's sort of, the relationship develops, okay, and it continues. And we are, as a firm, we continue to work with people that we started out more than 20 years ago. So, there are relationships, obviously, things keep evolving, but at the end of the day, there are relationships that are built up in this whole process. So, I really enjoy the work. I enjoy the people, and then it doesn't seem like a chore. Okay, it really does not seem like a chore, and does not seem, oh my God, I'm going to work today is going to be a mad day or a bad day. Yeah, sure, there are tough days. There are there are days when you just feel like saying, I've had enough, just because of too many constraints. But I think what really keeps me going is A, I love my work. B, I love um, the thrill I get when I have solved a problem successfully, you know, and that is that satisfaction. I feel like now I'm attaining what I was meant to do, you know. So I love that thrill of being the problem solver. I love the thrill of the high that you get when a client says, I have a problem, let me call her Priti, okay? And she'll be able to help me out. So I enjoy all of that. It's not, this profession has given me everything. Everything that I'm today is because of this profession. And what I love about law is the constant learning. What I know today is something I did not know 2 months back, and certainly something I did not know 34 years ago. So it's such a constantly evolving area that I feel that there are new disciplines that you can learn on a regular basis. So that's really what keeps me going. I think the day I wake up in the morning and I find that this is a chore is the day I'm going to say, all right, time to hang my boots up. You know?
Oh my God, they say from ancient thinkers right down to Steve Jobs or Sachin Tendulkar that if you love what you do, you would have never worked a day in your life, which is exactly what you're saying because you just love your work. So, you get up in the morning and you're just ready to go. And I was thinking about what you were
Can I
saying. Sure, please tell me.
can I just say something? I remember two at least one thing that I remember very clearly. Um, there was an American philosopher whose name is Joseph Campbell. Okay, he was a mythologist. I remember years ago reading a book that he had written. He died somewhere in the 80s. But there was a book that he had written, and then there used to be a radio station in San Francisco where he was interviewed. Okay, and the radio station was called, if I remember this correctly, New Dimensions. Okay, um, the the thing that stayed with me from that book was when I read that book, and which again was reproduced in an interview. So I heard it twice. Once, you know, an audio version, and then once when I was reading the book. Joe Campbell said that, it is very important in life that when you are climbing the ladder, that ladder has to be up against the right wall. Okay, you should not turn suddenly at 45, you realize I've been doing something that I have never ever enjoyed. So, I personally think that thrill of making sure that you're on the right wall, that is a very, very important piece. You have to have that passion. You wake up in the morning and you say, I'm excited to go to work. Doesn't feel like work, you know? And honestly, Shilpa, I would never have imagined that this is how I would feel about law, because I think I missed out on this. I said to you at the beginning, I wanted to be, I was an accidental lawyer, but I think I always thought that I wanted to join the foreign service. Okay. And in my mind, when I realized how one joined the foreign service, my career path was very clearly written. So it was going to be BA, MA, and then you sit for the civil services exam. And I think I was just too arrogant to think that I would just, sail through without a plan B. And then someone turned around and said to me that, um, I think reality, struck me after I finished my BA, and I said, "Oh my God, I have to think of a plan B. What happens if I don't qualify?" And so, with a lot of discussions with friends and family, I narrowed down on law simply because it was going to be, it's a good backup, and it works as a paper for the civil services exams. So I joined law with this particular intention. um, I aced through the exams, the first, in the first attempt, all the way through. And I had just about finished by the time the results came out. I was in the process of finishing first year of law school, and I said, no, this is what I'm going to do. So, the whole thrill that you have, I mean, it was all of a sudden, it was very easy to give up that childhood dream of joining the foreign service. And I think that's why, for me, I guess it was somewhere meant to be. So, when I read that, coming back to Joe Campbell, when I read that whole piece, I just felt, yeah, this feels absolutely right. I'm sure had I gone into the foreign service, that would have been against the wrong wall, because I am the least diplomatic person that I know. So I'm very happy where I am.
That is so sweet. You know, Preeti, when you're talking about what you were meant to be, uh, I'm not going to get into what, because the way you call yourself an accidental lawyer, when somebody asked me about my profession, so I put it like in quotes, supposed to be a lawyer, because I'm so scared if I say I'm a lawyer, will I fit the bill or not? But it was, so amazing when I was in coma and I'd come. When I was in coma, I don't remember anything, but the doctors had told my family that, she's going to lose her memory and she may be brain dead or blind or I don't know what all ghastly things. And I am such a fan of the human mind through personal experience, because maybe a year passed, I had not read or written anything, just some SMSs. And I think WhatsApp was not invented that time. And one of my commercial directors asked me if I'll read a contract. So my neurologist would come at 9 a.m. in Apollo and at 5 p.m. So I asked him, I said, Doc, you keep doing MRIs of the brain. So, we always write to be in your correct mind. It's very important. You cannot do things if you're not in your right mind. So I said, am I like fit to read and review a contract? So he started laughing. He said, Shilpa, do you want a certificate? I said, no, I don't want a certificate. If you say yes, it's good enough. And Preeti, when I read, it was luckily a very brief contract, just 3, 4 pages. And the way the mind started functioning, that no, this word can make it that, and no, this line should not be, or in this case, the liability will be too much. And I was so amazed at how the human mind picks up things. And I was thinking of all the doctors who said that she's going to lose her memory, she's going to be this and that. So I, of course, believe in the power of miracles. And I'm a huge fan of the human mind, and how you were just saying that, when your clients are happy with your work, I mean, that is such a high. Because when I completed the assignment and I emailed it back, when I got a bravo Shilpa, my God, I had a smile for 24 hours, I think, stuck on my face on the hospital bed. And everybody's wondering what happened to her. I mean, okay, she smiles, but this one is a bit too much. So I think that is really such a big motivating factor. First, if you love your work. Secondly, I think if you get appreciated for your work, it is like a constant booster shot.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think you nailed it. Okay. You nailed it, because I think it's the power of the mind which is so important. I have a little story to, tell you around this as well. Not really a story, but just some life experiences. Okay. Uh, you know, when I was born, okay, when I was born, I was born with a congenital deformity of 2 fingers on my hands as well as on my feet. Okay. Um the day after I was born, my parents called this top orthopedic doctor to the hospital, who was, related to my bua, and because they were worried, they had nobody in our family had this issue, and they were worried that I would not be able to walk, I would not be able to do anything, and I've obviously heard this from my parents. My the doctor said, "Don't worry, she'll be perfectly fine." And I still recall that my mother told me that my father used to tie 3 fingers of his hand and try to hold a pencil or a pen, and try to write, okay, to see how I would actually be able to hold that. And when you children are very, very curious, okay, and they can also be unkind, they don't realize it, right? So there was a whole lot of that early trauma that I probably went through, which is why I think in my case, my family was also very keen that I should really sort of do things, chart a life for myself before thinking of other pieces of life. So um, during that particular phase, when I went, when my parents took me to school, to my first proper school, not a kindergarten, and you know what that school was, and my parents, met with the principal. So my mom said that people sort of tell her that she is handicapped, and this sister basically told an Irish nun way back in the late 60s, telling my mother, never ever call her handicapped in that particular sense, and wait and watch and see what she's going to do. So your mind starts to kick in somewhere or the other, that control that comes in, which is why you end up saying, it's not a conscious development, but it is something, perhaps it gets into yourself where you say that I've got to do this, right? Whether it's reading, writing, driving, whatever it is, when someone turns around and says, oh my God, when someone looked at me and said, how do you, even now, like, you go to the other side of the world and you pick up a car and you're able to drive, even though it's driving on the other side of the road. And I just said, you just have to switch something over here, you know and it's really the power of the mind, and how we look at things in a mindful manner also is very, very important. So I think this is a very good time for me to ask you a question. Can I?
Please do. Sure.
Where do you get your, what I call joie de vivre from?
I think I love life. And for me to even waste one day is tragic. So I am always on a high. I don't know from where I get it. I really don't know. But some people say maybe because you're like born again, so you really don't believe in wasting it. But I don't think that is the point. Because even earlier on, I was always like, what's the plan? And the plan always meant having fun. It always meant having fun. And work
Yeah.
was there and studies was there. And fortunately, being good in my studies, I got away with murder. Because, Preeti, I wrote in my book also, every Friday and Saturday night, I would be out dancing. And my mom would tell me, so 2 weeks in the whole year, if you don't go out, will something happen? So my answer would be, you want a good result, you'll get it. But don't stop me. Like don't stop my fun part of it. And fortunately, I was a gold medalist in law fact. So she really didn't have much to say on that. But I think it's the love of life, it's the love of people. Uh, I don't need anything to, make me happy. With me,
Yeah.
it's my like state of mind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
not happy, I'm just waiting to snap out of it because I know that's not my natural state of being.
Hmm.
So that's
That's
just the
so
way I
over,
am.
that's so overpowering, because I think that fortitude and that outlook on life is so important. It is so important, and I think that's a wonderful way of looking at things. You said
And
you love
I
life.
I think, Preeti, why it is so easy for me is because it comes to me naturally. Like, for some
Yeah.
people, singing
Yeah.
comes naturally, writing, dancing, whatever comes naturally. For me, like this constant smile on my face, sometimes my jaws start paining. It just comes to me naturally, meeting people, interacting with people. Right now, whether it's on Zoom, I'm always on WhatsApp, like with the whole world kind of a thing. So I think it's this constant energy flow. I think that is just
Yeah.
so important. So you don't always
Yeah.
have to go out and physically shake hands with people. You
Yeah.
can still touch hearts, you can still touch chords, being miles away. I think it's your intent to communicate, and people feel it. People feel it
Yeah.
across the miles.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that's very well put. I can't add anything more to that.
Like you were so many years senior to me in school, but we met up at this lawyers conference, which are
Yeah.
supposed to be very boring. You need all the caffeine to keep yourself awake. But we had such a ball over there, and you could still remember those days and have a laugh about it, and relive the memories, and which is just the point what I'm coming to is, what does happiness mean to you?
I think happiness is a way of being. Okay. Um, Happiness is probably also meant different things at different stages of one's life. Okay. But where I am today, I think um, happiness is not about accumulation, but happiness is more about compassion, compassion to others, um, compassion also to self. I think in the process of being compassionate or altruistic towards others, we actually tend to forget that we need to be, Apply the same principles to ourselves as well. Um, Happiness also means, when I am positive, I'm happy. So for me, it's a combination of a lot of things. But I think, as you probably know, I'm a practicing Buddhist. So the first thing that sort of comes to my mind when I think about happiness is, um, it's compassion. If I am able to get to a point where I can be compassionate towards others and towards myself, I think that makes me happy. That makes me happy. Being compassionate and being taken for a ride and knowing the difference, those are separate things. Okay. But I think, most importantly, happiness is a state of mind. Okay. I will give you a very small example. I was talking to my mother earlier today, and I was just having a conversation with her, and I asked her something similar. Okay. And her answer to me was, I'm happy when I'm with you. Okay. And I said, and I realized that happiness is also, when you're with your loved ones, when you are with somebody who really matters to you, right? So all of these are different nuances of what happiness means. But I think if I was to sort of, summarize it, I would say, yes, it's very, I'm happy when I'm with my loved ones. I'm happy when I'm with my, people who matter to me. I am happy when I'm thinking about the well-being of others, because it makes me happy to see something I do or I don't do brings a smile on someone's face. Okay. Uh, and I think it's just a whole state of being, of well-being, because happiness has to permeate all through, and it has to come, it has to come from the heart, it has to come from the eyes. You just have to be, it has to reflect in everything that you're doing. I don't know whether that's responsive enough or not, but
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful
I'm just
because,
speaking from the heart.
yeah, because Preeti, there is no like definition of it. You know what I mean to say? It is such a vast subject. Uh, I mean, it can just capture the whole universe, And the beauty of it is so different for everybody. Then it is so different in different stages of your life. I mean,
Yeah.
today, what is making you happy? Tomorrow, something else will make you happy. Today, sitting with your mom made you happy. Tomorrow, when you make a fabulous dessert, you'll be happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And day
Yeah.
after tomorrow, your client will be thrilled with your work. That will make you happy. So in
Yeah.
3 days, you experienced happiness, but totally different connections. You know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I think that is what really attracts me, and I love to know what makes people happy. And there's such a common thread that first of all, it's all here. And second of all, it is actually so simple. It is
Yeah.
so simple,
Yeah.
the beauty of it. And there's a beautiful message that I got, and it just stayed on with me. It came on WhatsApp that this is not a year to get what we want. It is a year to appreciate what we have. So
Yeah.
make beautiful memories, store them in your memory bank. There are
Yeah.
no minimum deposits, there are no
Yeah.
penalties. Just rewards for bringing cheer when life
Yeah.
seems a bit dull. And better still, to prove a point, I have something to share which makes me very happy. How's that? Can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
So
Oh
just
my
see,
God.
just see, Preeti. I mean, I am supposed to be a lawyer. I say that, and I'm talking to a brilliant one. So I cannot have be talking without evidence. So this was my evidence, which is to show that you have beautiful moments. You look at a picture, you relive the memories,
Yeah.
you have another dose of happiness.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It costs you nothing. It doesn't need Wi-Fi. It doesn't need a charger. It needs nothing.
Yeah. It
You
just
know,
needs the right mindset.
just need the right mindset. And I think this is what why I'm such a fan of it, is because it is actually so simple. But we just need to sometimes bring our mind back to it. We need these gentle reminders. And when I had studied the science of well-being and happiness, what I loved about it was the simplicity of it. And they said,
Yeah.
when you have a lovely moment, every time that you remember it, or rather savor that memory, you feel the same joy. So in this year, we may not be having those lovely moments, but we can savor all the beautiful moments that we have lived and shared. So, so along with our shot of caffeine, we are getting a shot of dopamine too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the wonderful thing about this year has been the, the unbelievable amount of quality time that we've had with our loved ones. Okay. There's absolutely nothing to beat that. And I think we will all look back on this year with all its lows. Um, I think we will look back on this year where we would have forged so much more in our relationships. And that's something that's enough cause for people to feel happy.
This is what they say. You can buy everything, but there's some things you can't buy. you
Yeah,
know. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
this year we have had the time to savor the memories, to spend time with our loved ones, get off that busy wagon, and
Yeah.
truly appreciate what we have.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to meet a friend for coffee, my God, that coffee is like such a big deal, because you're meeting someone for a cup of coffee. You're not doing cheers on Zoom. So it's really a big thing.
You will not take that coffee for granted ever.
Never, never at all. Never at
Yeah.
all. And it has been pure joy chatting with you today, Preeti. Thank you so much for joining me on the Happiness Chat.
Thank you very much, Shil. I think you define happiness, and I can't think of a better person than you to actually launch this. Okay, so thank you very, very much for inviting me.
It's been such a pleasure. Until we can't get out of our houses and create new moments of happiness, let us savor the ones that we have enjoyed earlier. And like always, until we meet again, be happy, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.